Good morning, everybody. It's Ali here. Sorry about my voice, everybody, but just one of those things. Just a quick update. You'll be able to read the rest, please. On Gus Lamont, SA police to drain large dam on Yunta property as third search begins today for missing 4-year-old Gus Lamont. And there we have it. Police have now returned to Oak Park Station to continue the search for 4-year-old Gus, who vanished from his family's remote sheep station over a month ago. Following two extensive search operations that yielded no new evidence, police announced on Friday that they would drain a large dam located approximately 600 metres from the homestead. The dam, which is around 4.5 metres deep, was previously searched by divers in the early days of the investigation. However, police say draining will allow for a comprehensive visual search, particularly in areas obscured by underwater vegetation. Investigators hope this will definitely rule out the possibility that Gus drowned. The renewed effort follows extensive ground and aerial searches around the hostess since Gus disappeared on September the 27th. Task Force Horizon investigators have concluded assessing data and imagery of the terrain surrounding the homestead that was taken using a drone, SA Police stated in a statement. Unfortunately, the imagery has not identified any object of significance that has assisted in the search for Gus. Further aerial imagery is underway, covering up to 10 kilometres from the homestead. This process is being conducted in stages and expected to take several weeks, according to the police. I'm going to play the Gus Lamont newsworthy audio for people to say, because I think my voice is going to give out. But if you click onto this article, you'll get more update. Thank you very much, and keep going, everybody. And we hope we can find some closure to the disappearance of this gorgeous little 4-year-old boy, Gus Lamont.
Police say they will return to a property tomorrow to drain a large dam 600 metres from the homestead where Gus Lamont was last seen in September.
It's been exactly 1 month since 4-year-old Gus Lamont vanished from his family's remote sheep station in South Australia. But today there's been a major update. Hannah Ford from 7 News has been following this story. Hannah, what are South Australian police saying?
Hi, yes, police have made an announcement today, a major update in this. What has been a long search for this little boy. So many questions, no answers, but they are heading back to the property that he was last seen at, the homestead near Yunta in remote South Australia. It was grand final night that he was last seen at about 5 o'clock playing out the front of that homestead in some sand, and he hasn't been seen since. Now, in the initial days that he was missing and police went there, they looked through a number of drains. There were police operation divers that came up to the property and went through every bit of water through the water tanks and every single dam, and there are quite a few on the property. And now they have announced that tomorrow they will be going back and draining one particular dam that's about 600 metres from the property. It's about 4.5 metres deep, and they'll be taking all of the water out of that and having another look for little Gus. They did go through there, obviously, with the divers, but it's very hard for them to go through it thoroughly enough to make sure that they can rule that out as a place that he might be. It's also very thick with vegetation, so there is the possibility that if he did go there and he did drown in that dam, that perhaps he was caught underneath some of that vegetation. So obviously you've seen the landscape. They have done everything they can to search every piece of that property, which is large, 470 square kilometres. Every piece of that they have now looked at. So this is one sort of last opportunity that they might be able to find him. So it's expected that will take all day tomorrow. They'll need to drain it and then go through it thoroughly. The others haven't been actually drained as yet, but they feel like police divers were able to go through them a little bit more thoroughly. They weren't as deep and they didn't have this thick vegetation. So we're just hoping and praying that they do find something. We need answers for little Gus's family.
Yeah, as you say, there have been really no answers to date. What can you tell us about this investigation? It feels like there have been a lot of theories, a lot of misinformation that has been circulating on the internet. But what do we know in terms of actual leads that the police might be following up on, if indeed there are any?
Yeah, so there have been so many theories. I mean, it is just so mysterious that there's been no trace of this little boy and that he's now been missing for so long. But police have told us they have still only working on that one solid theory that he wandered off. He simply wandered off from this homestead and something has happened. And we just don't know what that is yet. There has been obviously a large area. Most of that homestead has now been searched, but also they've been using that drone technology. So they've gone around the property with a drone and they've managed to sort of save those pictures and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, every single shot of that, and seeing if there are any traces or signs or clues of little Gus. They've been able to rule out sort of within a small radius of the homestead, but there are still so many more hours of images to go through, sort of more like a 10K radius out from that homestead. So they'll go through all of that. Still, that could take weeks or months to come still. Hopefully there's some sign. We know that he was wearing that blue Minions t-shirt, that he had a grey hash on, and that he was wearing boots. Maybe one piece of clothing was discarded somewhere. I spoke to a physiology expert recently, and she said that even though it was only 3 days, it's likely he could have survived if he wandered off in that sort of terrain, and if he was able to access water, he could still have made it between 6 and 8 kilometres from the homestead, which is extraordinarily far. But he's an adventurous, playful, active kid, so it is a possibility, and they need to rule out that he hasn't got that far and that he's not in that dam, which is only 600 metres from the property.
Yeah, still so many unknowns, and hopefully we get some answers. From 7 News, Hannah Ford, really appreciate this update on Newsworthy today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Hannah Ford, from 7 News in Australia, and also from Mr. Shriver, Matt Shriver from Nightly, who sent me this across. So we just hope and pray tomorrow, Team Task Force Horizon, it will be looking at the data that they've collected already, and also the team will be out there diving in the pond 600 metres from Oak Park Station. Thank you, everybody. Keep fingers crossed and take care. Bye.